Hey guys, this is market update. Just more bad news for the Bitcoin price action, right? Broken through the 100. That now turns into resistance. Not brilliant. Just a confluence of factors that, are responsible for this. But the main question is, are you selling too early here? Because there's a lot of long-term holders. They're not super long-term, right? These are, let's say, 200 days plus holders. Traders, essentially, longer-term swing traders are selling here. My opinion is that they're selling a bit early, so I want to go through that. The crypto course discount expires November 24th. I'll put the link below. If you type BTC at checkout, you get 20% off there. Free updates forever. My opinion here is that they're selling a bit early, but I totally get why they're selling, and it's absolutely fine. But look, it's not great price action. There's no buyers. No one wants to bid up the price. They don't need to, right? If you want to buy Bitcoin, you're buying at cheaper prices. There's no reason to bid up the price here. So it is what it is, and I don't think that there's anything on the near-term horizon that's going to change that unless we get something out of the States. What's changing price action now is policy, government policy, and not the Fed. The Fed are just taking a back seat. They don't really want to change too much. They're not moving in any big way. It's policy. Now, I think Besant said they're going to have some cuts to tariffs in the next few weeks. So watch out for that. I don't really think that's going to make much difference. The selling sentiment is taken over. Long-term holders, I think, is like 155 or so days or longer. If you hold it, you're considered a long-term holder for this. So these aren't OGs selling. These are swing traders. And they're selling the top of the 4-year cycle. Totally understand it. If you're a swing trader, you're trading the cycle, you buy the lows or near it, or the uptrend, and you sell the highs. Right now, it's the end of the 4-year cycle, and there is going to be a lot of people who simply said, I'll buy the low of the 4-year cycle and I'll sell the top. Now, I don't think this is the top. I don't think this is the top for this macro cycle, but for the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, it just makes total sense, right? Like if you're buying the bottom of the 4-year cycle, you should now be selling, right? Because the 4-year cycle is done. It's over. So you need to be selling and need to be getting out. And you had a successful swing trade. Congratulations, you made loads of money. You were buying in at 20, 30, 35, 40-ish, right? Around there. You had the ETFs and everything else, and now you're selling. And you made a great trade. But my personal opinion is I think it's a little bit early, and so I'm not going to join the selling here. In fact, if Bitcoin continues to go lower, I'm just going to try to keep going in. Now, you can see that as price rises, these long-term holders, they're not long-term holders, they're swing traders. Swing traders take their profits. So swing traders get out as the price rises, as investors are coming in saying, right, I want some Bitcoin, you're not selling enough to me, let's rise the price. Okay, we've shaked out your supply, great. So price goes up, long-term holders sell into that strength. Again, long-term holders sell into their strength as we rise here. You can see what they're doing now is that they're capitulating out of their swing trade. They're actually selling down even though the price is going down. And that shows you that these swing traders are just saying, look, my 4-year cycle thesis is playing out. I need to be selling here, right? I can't wait because the 4-year cycle is done. So that's fine. And congratulations on your trade. I think that if you had more patience and waited a bit longer, I think you could see higher prices in the short term, because I think next year there's a lot to be positive about in markets. Now, normal volatility for Bitcoin is like plus or minus 30 to 35%, right? So you can't just read too much into these moves. Oh, it's a bear market because we're down 25, 30%. I have to focus on the macro, right? The macro is that next year, the big beautiful bill is coming in. There's going to be a ton of economic activity from reshoring, and that's going to push up jobs and inflation and GDP. And the Fed is going to be a little bit softer into that. I don't think they're going to help us out too much, actually. I think this Fed, Jerome Powell, they're just going to want to sit here now. He doesn't want to do too much towards the end of his tenure. And they're going to replace him anyway and put a really dovish guy in, and he knows that. So he's just taking the other side. So I don't think the Fed are going to help us out too much. But I think government policy is going to help us out. They can't have GDP getting soft, and certainly into midterms, they can't have a rise in unemployment too much, right? Because they're all going to lose then. So you just have to let the game play out. Congrats if you're a swing trader selling now into weakness. Not sure it's the best move, but you've already made great profits. I think there's another opportunity to make more profits though. Long-term holders, you can see, again, price rises, they sell. Price rises, they sell. Price is falling off, they sell. I'm not sure if that's a good move. I could be wrong, but I'm putting my money where my mouth is always. I'm going to keep accumulating here. I think there is another move here. I may be wrong, but I think there is another move. And if I win, great. If I don't, then obviously I'll lose money just like everyone else in a bad trade. But I'm going to keep going in here because I think the macro extends. But I understand people are selling here because it's the end of the 4-year cycle. There's just no liquidity for crypto right now. We're right out on the risk curve, right? There's no cash flowing around. In the US, we just had a massive, massive negative event. It was totally swept under the carpet by the mainstream media, right? You're talking about tens of thousands of people getting furloughed or not getting paid or getting paid delayed or less pay or benefits not going out. And so everyone pulls back. If you don't think you're going to get paid or there's going to be some sort of delay, then you don't go out for dinner, you don't spend in the economy, you don't do anything else. Everything contracts and pulls back. It's a seriously negative event. The longest shutdown ever, and totally swept under the rug by the mainstream media. The negative effects of this, deflationary effects. If things are deflating, then why would Bitcoin go up in price? If the price of food comes down, the price of rent is coming down. When you deport millions of people, so the rent comes down. Why would Bitcoin go up in price? That's ridiculous. Bitcoin is money, so it prices those things. If those things are getting cheaper, then Bitcoin should go down in price. But the problem is with these deflationary events, and a lot of what Trump has done is actually deflationary. Tariffs, you can call them a tax or anything else, deflationary because they're taking money out of the system. They're decreasing the deficit. Decreasing the deficit means decreasing GDP and inflation because government spending is part of GDP. GDP is consumer spending, investment, government spending, and then exports minus imports. Government spending is responsible for 20 to 30% of GDP. When you draw this out, when you cut the deficit, right? When you tariff money out of the system, you're causing deflation, right? You're not causing GDP growth. And so the other side of that is they want to spark GDP growth, yes, right? But that's much longer term because to move those factories back, maybe that's good in 2026, but not right now, right? It's very, very slow. Is that money coming in? They negotiated all these investment deals. Maybe that's coming next year. It's really not happening too much now, a little bit, right? But you're seeing deflationary pressures and Bitcoin should go down in price. Right, so if you're a swing trader and you're selling now because you bought in at 30, selling at 90, congrats, great trade. I don't trade that. I want to trade the policy response to this. And you're going to have to sit through more volatility, but I think the policy response drives us much higher. A lot of Trump policy has been negative to prices. He's saying that the Thanksgiving meal is 25% cheaper this year. Gas prices are down. He's trying to get medicine prices down. He's deporting people, which means rents are down. This is a massive factor within CPI and PCE that's going to draw inflation down. That's great, but if everything is going down in price, expect Bitcoin to go down in price because Bitcoin is money. And if the things that you're buying are going down in price and getting cheaper, then Bitcoin doesn't go up in price, right? You have to think about if those things are getting cheaper, how much of those things does Bitcoin buy? Well, if Bitcoin buys the same amount of those things, then it's kept its purchasing power, right? But if they're going down in price, why would Bitcoin go up in price? Why would markets go up in price? Take out the hyperscalers. Why would markets go up too much if the price of everything is coming down? Because then earnings are going to start to come down, right? So you're looking at this and saying you've got lots of deflationary pressures. But you can't have too much deflation for too long because the whole financial system will collapse. So the policy response is, let's get things moving. Let's drop some tariffs, which is what they're saying now. Besant said, look, we need to cut some tariffs of things that we don't grow here, like coffee, bananas, etc. We need to cut those tariffs. Makes sense. So what they're trying to do is thread a needle and trying to get essentially GDP to run at 3-4%, inflation a little bit high. They're trying to get it down, but you need inflation. Otherwise, the financial system goes bankrupt, right? If rents are coming down, that means house prices are coming down, right? Because if you can't rent out your house for as much, then the investment case is coming down, right? It's just a function of rent plus the price of the house, right? You don't pay more for a house that you can rent out for less. So rents come down, house prices come down, deflationary pressures, earnings come down. Everything should come down in price. But they need to pump it, right? You can't have deflation for too long. So what I'm going to trade is that I think that they want to try and pump these prices, pump GDP, and create a bit more inflation, right? And then create, hopefully, more jobs through the factories coming back next year into the midterms, right? So that's what I want to trade. Look, tariffs help consumers because we have brought down the budget deficit. If you bring down the budget deficit, you also create deflationary pressures in the economy, which are great for prices, but you need inflation in the currency. You need GDP to be positive. And so if the government shut down, they can't do that. Well, are they going to pump things over the next few months now that the money's coming back in? Potentially, right? This is just a game of trying to get prices low to win votes, but you need inflation, otherwise the system goes bankrupt. You need that activity. If you bring down deficit spending, inflation will come down. Yes. But if inflation comes down, that means earnings come down, the stock market comes down, Bitcoin comes down, your house goes down, your wages have to come down, you get this deflation. Can't have deflation, right? I think the policy eventually will be to try and spark inflation again, but not right now. The Fed is way behind, as always. You're seeing this. This is going to feed into CPI and PCE. This is actually good news. And so the market gets scared. Oh, inflation, like deflation's coming, right? Inflation's not as hot, GDP's not as hot. Yes, that will all come out. The policy response is let's go again. And I want to wait for that policy response. I want to wait for that to happen. Maybe they wait till after they fire power in the spring. Maybe they wait till the midterms. But certainly, if unemployment is rising, they're going to do something about that, aren't they? Also, US bank regulators move to finalize Treasury-linked capital plan. This is the SLR, supplementary leverage ratio. So banks have to keep a certain amount of capital. The leverage ratio requires banks to hold capital against all assets equally, including low-risk US Treasuries. What they're trying to do here is change the law to essentially shake out a lot of the liquidity from the banks that is currently tied up from this leverage ratio, right? So they want to essentially get cash moving into the system from the banks, leverage them up again to get cash moving in the economy. The whole game here is liquidity. They want liquidity in. But obviously, when you do that, inflation goes up. We're just in the period where inflation is coming soft. That's not necessarily a bad thing because the policy response can then be made on the other side, which pushes assets higher. This is a big game that we're in. This is not a Fed cycle. This is not like cut interest rates and print money. This is policy, which is slower, longer, more frustrating. But I think it comes next year. So I'm going to trade for that. Maybe I'm wrong, and so I'll lose money if I am wrong, which is absolutely fine by me. Market expectation for Fed's funds. Look, we're still above 3%. It can come lower if we get some GDP figures that are very soft and unemployment figures. Unemployment's rising, and so the Fed is going to keep focusing on that. Don't worry about it. If we get deflationary pressures, you get the policy response. It's as simple as that. 20% discount for the course expires November 24th. If you trade crypto, check out Bybit as well. You can get a $30,000 deposit bonus via the link below in the description if you're a new user. I'm James, this is Money G. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.